Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Clint Losh with CrushTheDonks.com, and what I have for you today in this little strategy video is something that's pretty cool, something that's pretty eye-opening, something that you can do essentially while not playing. It's more of a studying exercise or studying technique to help you get more of an edge in your games. And for those that have been with me here with the site for a while, whether it's through coaching, through staking, or as a full member in the members portal. And for those that have seen my videos, been a part of the group study sessions, I'm always talking about exploiting players. I'm talking about how to get an edge, how to be the most profitable player that you can be. Not just being happy with winning and turning a positive ROI, but having the highest potential ROI, having making the most money in your particular game. And typically that's done through exploiting players and getting an edge that other guys just simply aren't getting at the tables because they might be playing more basic, straightforward game. And at any given time, I'm typically coaching between 3 to 5 players, plus staking a lot of players as well, and working with them, doing hand history reviews. So I'm always, every week I probably go through at least 10 to 15 full hand history reviews with players. And something that I've only done with my personal coaching students, I haven't made a video on this concept yet. This is the first time I'm doing it. But this is something that players really like when I suggest it and when I actually put it together for them. So this is something that you can actually do for yourselves down if you aren't already doing it. It's going to seem like such common sense after I go through it with you, but it's something that I guarantee you 99% of players out there are not doing. So if you just put in the extra time and effort to do it, it's going to come back to you with hopefully increased profits just from doing this little study exercise. And if you're watching this video, it's most likely on my Facebook page that you got there by following me on Facebook, or through my email newsletter. If you're not part of the newsletter yet, I definitely recommend jumping over to crushthedonks.com/free videos. If you sign up there, just put in your email. I send you a 2-part video. It's actually from the recent Sit and Go Boot Camp that we did. And it talks about essentially how to get out of playing an ABC style and exploiting the other players who are playing the style that everybody tells you how you're supposed to play. And I give you a few strategies in there that you can add into your game that are certainly unconventional but are extremely profitable. So if you aren't getting those videos yet, if you're not getting those email updates, and I call it a newsletter. I called it a newsletter before. It's not really a newsletter. It's more, I'm sending out updates, myself and my team. We're sending out updates, resources, strategy videos, the best deals that are out there maybe for rakeback, tips maybe in goal setting, whatever it might be that is helping us, that we feel that can help you as well in your poker journey. So, get that, sign up there, you get the free video and updates from us a couple times a week. In terms of what's going on in the poker world, and again, tips that we can give you to help you with your poker career. So that's my little public service announcement, so head on over there if you haven't already. So why don't we jump in here? I mean, you can see right here, this is a quick one. This is a 2-slide video really, but I'm going to actually use my Holdem Manager here to discuss what you can do to get even more of an edge in your particular games. So let's go to this first slide right here, and this says it all. Reg Reports by Reg. Again, I always talk about regs as profitable players, good winning players that you're seeing in your particular games every single day. The same 3, 4, 5 guys, whatever, that when you sign up for a particular game, that they're going to be in the lobby. And quite simply, the strategy that I recommend that you do in terms of your actual studying is to make reports on these regs. we all look at studying as in posting hand histories either in my Skype group, the forum, places like 2+2, and asking for opinions, or doing a hand history review, or popping your hands into ICMizer or Sit and Go Wizard and checking out the plus or negative EV of a particular all-in spot. And those, don't get me wrong, those are great studying techniques. You should be doing those. But there's obviously more things that we can do, and we can actually use our own database of hands that we've built up by playing every single day. If you've got several thousand games under your belt, or 10,000 games, 20,000 games or more, as many of you do, then you're naturally going to be building up hands against other specific players that you're seeing every single day. So this was something that I recently did for one of the guys that I'm coaching, because he's a very solid winning reg. And in terms of doing actual hand history reviews, yes, we always like to do a refresher, look at the games, make sure nothing is creeping in, any bad habits, and make sure everything is good. And typically when we go through, of course, we'll always find a hand or two to review and discuss the best strategy. But really, when you're really beating the games and you're grinding every single day, doing a hand history review, you might not be getting as much out of it as you used to, like when you just first started. But does that mean that there's nothing that you can do now to get an edge? And obviously there is, and this is one of the ways, because whenever you're not guessing at the tables, you're not guessing about someone's range, you're not guessing what somebody's raising with, or 3-betting with, or shoving all in with, life becomes easier. If you can start putting somebody on a specific range, that then obviously becomes very easy to identify the proper counter strategy or calling range, if it's an all-in spot or 3-betting range, against that opponent. In general, if you find the bottom of somebody's range, whether that's, again, in an all-in spot, you find how wide somebody could shove from a particular, let's say from the cutoff with 12 big blinds, how wide are they shoving? How wide are they shoving versus your 3-bet when you open up from the cutoff or the button or middle position? If you can start finding the bottom of somebody's range, you can literally start printing money against them, because you take the guessing element out of it, and you can really nail down precise ranges that you can use when you're up against those players. Now, what I'm about to do, before I jump into it, essentially how to do this and what it looks like, NoteCaddy can certainly do this as well. NoteCaddy is a great tool if you're using it. Make sure that you're using it to its full capabilities, and you've defined what notes that you want to take. I'm not going to get into that. From part 4 of our Sit and Go Boot Camp, Makti Soni hosted that session, and he went into a great deal about NoteCaddy and a product that he put together called Alpha HUD, and how it combines using Holdem Manager, the HUD, and NoteCaddy to get very exploitable notes about what players are 3-betting. So it was a more automated version of actually what I'm talking about right here, or what I'm going to be talking about with the Reg Reports. It's a more, again, automated way to add it into your game. So if you're not using NoteCaddy, if you're not using Alpha HUD, or even if you are and you want to kind of double check and take your own notes, this is a manual way that you can do it by just taking a few hours out of your week and just going through your database. So here's essentially what it is in a nutshell. And you know what? I'll go to the next slide here to kind of take you through the steps. The first thing you want to do is identify those players that you're seeing every single day that might be giving you some trouble, give you a headache. You know that they're the top players. They're doing things a little bit differently than what other regs do, and they're obviously winning as well. So make a list of your toughest opponents, your top 3, top 4, top 5 opponents that you're facing every single day. And then from there, what we can do is we can take our database and filter out hands where they show down their cards, hands they played against you, or specific situations. You can filter situations in which they 3-bet you. they called an all in. And what you do essentially as you're going through is just take notes. It's like going back to school. You're just going and taking notes. And the next thing you know, you have a whole file of notes on this player about how they play at big blind 20, how they play at big blind 100, how they play with 10 big blinds. And then you can go right in and just start adding notes into that player. So the next time you have 15 tables up, 16 tables, whatever you're playing, and that player's at your table, you don't have to guess. You have that note right in front of you. Maybe you can color code it, whatever works best for you. But I want to show you a quick example of actually doing that. So let me go over to my Holdem Manager here. I just picked Hadok. This is one of the guys that's it's in our Skype group. Real solid player, guy I do hand history reviews with every once in a while. Was a top 180 man reg, is now one of the top 18 man guys. And I just picked out his name because I could have picked out anybody here. These are some guys I do hand history reviews for, and I just have them load games into my Holdem Manager, so I have all their data. So I just picked Hadok, and I can show you essentially. Let's say I'm playing 18 mans, and Hadok is one of those guys that is just giving me tons of trouble, and I want to know how he's playing. So what I can do is naturally I'm going to build up a pretty extensive history against him, and as you're going through, look for players that you have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 hands on, or more, obviously, because that's when you can get a nice sample of hands. So if I just go, and this is Holdem Manager 1, I think it's pretty easy. You can do the same thing in Holdem Manager 2, Poker Tracker, whatever you have. Just go to all hands. This is where you would search. You would change the player. So you can go to pick the player you want to identify, or just do player search. Type in the player that you want to see. So I would type in Hadok, and you can see I've got 222,000 hands in here from him because that's what he sent me. But I know that this is a popular player, Bushapa. Got 7,000 hands. I've never done a hand history review with him. He's just somebody that players that he plays a very unconventional style. So people typically ask when we're doing hand history reviews, hey, can we review? What's this guy doing? Why is he making the plays that he's making? So we've got about close to 7,000 hands on him, and but we'll stick with Hadok here for a second. So what you could do first is get all the hands in here, and you just see I have the last 100. You can put all of them in there. If I click all right now for 220,000 hands, it's going to take a while, so I'll just keep it the last 100. But then I only want to show known hole cards. So if you have a large sample, it's nice, as your first thing that you do is start getting hands where he shows down what hand he has. So you're not guessing about what he's doing. You can see the actual hands that he shows down in a variety of spots. And then what I would do first is do what do you do on Holdem Manager, and then whatever you have to do on Poker Tracker. I do export all hands to hard drive and create a folder. I created a Reg Report folder, and you can see here's some of the guys that I've done reports on. You could see Bushapa hands, and now I just have a big folder of hands that he shows down, and you can pop this into your universal replayer, and then just when you're studying, flip through the particular hands, and you can start seeing tendencies, patterns of what this particular player is doing. So when I'm typically doing a review, though, I do like to use the actual replayer from either Holdem Manager or Poker Tracker, so you can see the stats, you can see what they're seeing typically. So this is the first thing you can do, and literally what I would then do is just go filter by blind level. I start at 1020. Replay all hands, and hopefully it'll pop up soon. And it's not responding, so we'll wait for it to pop up. So just filter it by blind level, then replay all hands, and then just start flipping through and take notes as you flip through. Here we go. Let me just, obviously, I'm just kind of showing you. So just keep going through, flipping through the hands, and break down your notes by blind level. So what I did was, this is an actual report that I did for a player, and I wasn't fully done. I just copy and pasted a sample of the notes, and so that you're not seeing the actual player that I did it for. That'd be a little bit unfair to them. I only give these reports to the players that I'm coaching because it came from their database. It would be, I guess you could say, illegal for me to data mine and give these reports to anybody else. So if I'm coaching you, don't ask me for a report that I did for somebody else. I can only do it based upon your database of hands for you, and accordingly you can only do it for your own database. But here's what I was doing. Big blind 20, big blind 30, and just started taking notes on tendencies. For example, Johnny was one of the guys that I'm coaching, and this particular player 3-bet his under the gun raise at big blind 20 with ace queen from the small blind. I was actually a little bit surprised by that. A lot of regs don't 3-bet out of the small blinds versus an under the gun raise with a hand like ace queen. Many times they'll just flat. What are some other interesting notes? Early position to open up king 10 offsuit. A lot of guys aren't doing that. So you can see I'm starting to try to figure out what's the bottom of his range. Many times I'll assume at 15-30 and 10-20 that guys that are under the gun might be only raising king queen suited and ace 10 off, or even ace jack and not even ace 10 off. But if you say, I saw this guy show down king 10. I think this one, he also had some post flop tendencies. I'm trying to look. No, I remember going through and seeing players that had some post-flop tendencies. So let me give you that example. Just how powerful this type of exercise can be. I was doing another report for a player that I'm coaching, and he picked out one of the top regs in his game. So we were going through, and I put together a pretty extensive report. And it was unbelievable that one of the top players in the game was so obvious about what he was doing that if all you did was pay attention and do this strategy or this exercise, you would figure out the easiest ways to exploit him. And again, without saying the name, here's what the tendencies that he did. Every time he missed a flop, he pretty much checked back. He didn't c-bet if he went to post flop. If he did c-bet, or if he did have a hand that was maybe like second pair or third pair, he would bet really small on the flop and then check the turn to try to get the showdown relatively cheaply. If he had a made hand, top pair, two pair, something like that, he would bet more than 50% on the flop and more than 50% on the turn. It was like clockwork. That was over about 30 or 40 different situations that I saw. So it wasn't just an anomaly, it was a pattern. So it was very eye-opening when going through, and having that type of information at your fingertips is just invaluable. So that's an extra play that you can add into your game when that player opens up. Play against him in post-flop situations. Look for those tendencies. So you can see these are some of the example notes that you can start taking on players. Like this guy, he had 16 big blinds versus a 10 big blind effective stack. He just jammed all in with 8-5 suited. Whereas I think in another situation, if he had a hand that he might want to get 3-bet with, he might just min raise instead of jamming. But it's good to know that with 10 big blind effective stack, he is jamming 8-5 offsuit into another reg. So again, we're starting to try to find the bottom of that player's range. I won't go through every note because again, this isn't, this was on a player and you don't know that player's name, but this is essentially what you want to do. And just create a file, keep all your reports in there, and then after you're done, add those notes onto that player either directly in your software or obviously right into the PokerStars client. And another thing you can do, and I made a list here so we can go through. So first thing, like I said, is go through known hole cards, right? Just so we can start seeing, what's he showing down. And then it becomes very obvious, here's what he showed down in this particular situation. We can take an exact note. And next what I would do is filter for hands against that specific player. So let's say we go to filter. It's taking a little bit long. But let's say I was coaching, one of the guys that I coach is Edgar Britt. So let's say, Edgar Britt here said, Hadok is just a guy that is giving me so much trouble. I want to see how he's playing against me. So now what we can do is, now we can filter down even more and get hands against Edgar Britt. Okay? And it's not popping up. It's probably just taking a while. That's no big deal. So that's what you do. So you identify the person, go through all their known hole cards. Then what we can do is start going through situations in which he played against you. And you might not want to go just see known hole cards. What you might want to see is, is there a pattern in terms of the frequency at which he's 3-betting you? Because then what you can do is you can filter even more, where it's a stealing situation and a 3-bet. So you can narrow this down however you want. And that's what I would suggest next. So if we go to the next exercise, so do it for hand versus you, and then filter for specific situations. So then we can do, we can load up a filter. I have a lot of filters in here, and it's running really slow today. I apologize. I have a lot of programs running here. So what you can do is you can start filtering for 3-betting spots, filtering for situations in which your opponent called it all in, filter for situations in which they shoved all in. So defend the blinds filter. That could be one that you put in there. So situation is position of the first raiser from the small blind cutoff button. The position of the other player is in the small blind or big blind, and you could see how they're defending against you. Are they flatting you a lot? Are they 3-betting? So it's not endless, but you can take into account a lot of different filters to start nailing down specific strategies about how to play against that particular player. Okay, so I hope you understand how valuable this can be. I mean, just think about if you knew exactly how wide he was shoving from the button, from the cutoff, how wide or what kind of frequency a player is 3-betting you. Okay, you know exactly what they're raising from under the gun. All right, so take notes that can give you any sort of tips or hints about those tendencies of that particular player. So this is what I call Reg Reports. This is what I do for my the players that I'm coaching. It's something that you should do. Again, no matter whether you're even just a beginner or you're sitting there and been crushing the games for the past 3 years. Anytime you can get more information on your opponents, the better. It gives you more of an opportunity to exploit them, and by exploiting players' tendencies properly, that only leads to increased profits. So if you need to understand some more filters, I have filters already made. Please message me, right here on Facebook, message me on Twitter, message me on Skype. I don't make any of my contact information secret. If you want any of those filters, you have any questions, please ask me. I'm here to help. So, and again, and I can also, if you want to schedule a session with me, I can do a report for you. Or again, this is something you can easily do on your own as well. I'm not doing anything special here. You have your database of hands, go through, filter it for showdown hands, filter for hands against you. I'm repeating myself now, but it's something that we should all be doing. This is how you get to the next level. So I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for more of strategy videos, strategy content just like this. Check on Facebook. I will always be sending this information out through email. So again, if you haven't, go to crushthedonks.com/free videos. Just put your email in there. I'll send you a free video from our Sit and Go Boot Camp. That'll have tons of value just on its own. And then you'll get email updates from me when stuff like this comes out that I'm making available to everyone. So head on over there now if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next email strategy video, YouTube video. It should be coming out shortly. So I hope you enjoyed. More to come. And thanks for watching, guys. Good luck at the tables.